Okay, so let's unpack this. This deep dive, we're looking into something pretty universal, aren't we? The search for meaning in life.
Absolutely. It's a question people have wrestled with forever. Thinkers, philosophers, uh, everyone, really.
And today, we're focusing on insights from a very specific source. It's a study of Ecclesiastes, chapter 5.
Right. And the study itself comes via an organization called MCS, so we're looking at their particular take on this ancient text.
A text attributed to King Solomon, the guy famous for wisdom, but also incredible wealth and power.
Yeah, his perspective is pretty unique because of that background. He experienced a lot.
And the core idea from this study, the lens we're using, is that Solomon, in this chapter, is talking up life lived well without love.
That's the key interpretation from the source, yeah. Not just romance, but a deeper kind of love for God, for others, a lack of genuine connection.
So our plan is to pull out the main ideas from this chapter through that specific interpretive lens.
See how things like religion, government, wealth connect to this without love theme, according to the source?
And, figure out if these ancient thoughts still mean something for us now.
Exactly. Take this old text, this specific interpretation, and see what wisdom it might offer today, especially through that powerful theme.
Okay, let's jump in. First up, according to the source, is religion. Verses 1 to 7, it starts with, going to the house of God.
Yeah, verse 1 gets right into it. Watch your step when you go to the house of God. And then this bit. Offering to listen is better than fools offering sacrifices.
Sacrifices being like the rituals, the outward actions.
That's how this study interprets it. Just doing the rituals, the sacrifices, without actually listening, without that real relationship, is seen as pointless.
Empty gestures.
Right. And it suggests this indicates a lack of love. The study even says fools doing this don't even realize they're doing something wrong.
It's like going through the motions in any relationship, isn't it? If you're not listening, not connecting, what's the point?
Exactly. The study frames it as missing the whole essence if the love isn't there driving the actions.
Then verses 2 and 3 talk about speaking before God. Don't speak impulsively. Let your words be few.
Yeah, because God is in heaven and you are on earth. The study really highlights this don't just babble.
No empty promises or, long prayers that don't actually come from the heart.
Right. It contrasts that with the chattering of a fool.
Yeah.
And this interpretation links it again to that lack of love and respect, making idle vows, talking without meaning.
Which leads straight into verses 4 to 7 about vows.
Yeah, and the source is really direct here. If you make a vow to God, don't delay in discharging it.
It says God takes no pleasure in fools, and it's better not to make a vow at all than to make one and break it.
And the study adds a pretty strong statement. An unfulfilled vow is a lie, and God does not like liars.
Wow, okay. So breaking a vow isn't just forgetting, it's seen as active dishonesty in the relationship.
That's the interpretation, yes. It undermines any claim of love or respect.
So the bottom line on religion, according to this study,
Rituals without love are meaningless. That's the conclusion drawn. They just can't replace genuine love and respect for God. It's the heart behind it that matters.
not just the performance.
Precisely. It's a critique of just, performing religion without the substance.
Okay. So from that internal focus on religion, the source says Solomon then looks outward. Verses 8 and 9, corruption, injustice.
Yeah, even as king, he saw everywhere. Poor oppressed, rights violated, and justice perverted.
And his reaction, according to the study, don't be surprised.
Right. Which sounds a bit cynical, maybe.
Why shouldn't we be surprised?
Well, Solomon observed this hierarchy of power. A high official has one higher watching him, and there are others above them.
Ah, so the system itself creates opportunities for corruption, layers of officials looking out for themselves.
That's the interpretation. And the source paints a pretty bleak picture here, saying the religious system wasn't really helping the poor, and the political and business systems were basically using them.
Exploiting them.
Yeah, as pawns and slaves is the phrase used in the study notes.
And the study connects this back to love, doesn't it? How can you love God but not care about the oppressed?
Exactly. It poses that question, linking the lack of compassion directly to the corruption Solomon saw. If you truly loved God, that love should show up in how you treat others, especially the vulnerable.
The absence of that care allows injustice to thrive.
That's the connection being made.
Yeah.
But it's not all negative. The study does mention a positive counterpoint Solomon saw.
Which is?
The greatest advantage to the country is when the king makes himself a servant to the land.
Servant leadership. So the opposite of exploitation is service rooted in care.
Right. A stark contrast to the self-serving corruption.
Okay, let's shift gears to wealth. Verses 10 to 17. Solomon knew a thing or two about wealth, right?
Probably more than anyone, historically speaking.
Mm.
And his findings, as interpreted here, are pretty sobering.
Verse 10, the lover of money never has enough money. It's pointless.
Yeah, and as your stuff increases, so do the people living off it, the parasites, as the
Yeah.
study notes. The owner just gets to watch.
Just look at it all. The study suggests that beyond basic needs, it's mostly for show and doesn't bring real satisfaction.
Accumulation for its own sake.
Then there's that contrast about sleep in verse 12. The worker sleeps well, but the rich person.
The overfullness of the rich won't let them sleep at all. The interpretation is they become a hostage to their wealth, worrying constantly.
No peace.
None. It's a burden, unlike the worker's rest after honest labor,
And verses 13 to 15 talk about hoarding wealth as a gross evil.
because it can all be lost. Through misfortune, leaving nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the big reality check. You came in naked, you leave naked.
For his efforts, he will take nothing. Wealth is temporary.
Fleeting. And the study connects this spiritually. If you don't focus on what's eternal, which it identifies as the love of God.
Then all the worldly stuff means nothing in the end.
Right. You face judgment empty-handed. The source uses strong language here, saying you could be doomed if your whole focus was on things you can't keep.
That's a stark warning. It's about priorities then. Temporary versus eternal.
Exactly. And verses 16 and 17 double down on this futility. Toiling just for worldly gain is like chasing wind. A gross evil.
Why evil?
Because, the interpretation goes, you gain nothing eternal. People doing this are in darkness. They don't grasp that they can't take it with them. They miss the bigger picture.
God's plan, his love, according to this study.
Yes. And this misunderstanding, this chasing after fleeting things, leads to frustration, sickness, and anger.
Because they want purpose, but look for it in the wrong place.
That's the idea, striving for things that ultimately leave you empty and don't satisfy that deeper need.
Okay, so after all that empty religion, corrupt systems, feudal wealth, chasing where's the good, what is the point, according to Solomon in this study? Verses 18 to 20.
Well, he does find something good. He concludes it's appropriate is your allotted portion to eat, drink, enjoy your work, the simple things.
Just enjoy life.
Yes,
Yeah.
but the study adds a really important layer. It's how you see those things.
Oh, so.
It emphasizes verse 19, everyone to whom God has given riches and wealth, along with the power to enjoy it. This is a gift of God.
So it's not just having stuff, it's the ability to enjoy it. That's also a gift.
Exactly. That's key in this interpretation. And if you recognize that, the study suggests you will not brood over the fact that his life is short, since God keeps him occupied with what will bring him joy.
So it shifts the focus from the things themselves or the job itself.
To recognizing the giver, realizing that whatever we have is a gift from God. That's the crucial insight highlighted.
And if you can maintain that perspective.
The study's conclusion is powerful. If we stay focused on the fact that every day and everything is a gift from God, we will love him and be glad.
Gratitude leads to love, which leads to joy or gladness.
Right. It brings it full circle, back to love. A love for God born from gratitude as the antidote to the pointlessness and frustration discussed earlier.
Okay, so let's try and sum up this deep dive based on the MCS study of Ecclesiastes 5.
We saw the critique of religion just being rituals without love.
The observation that injustice and corruption aren't surprising in systems lacking compassion.
The ultimate futility of chasing and hoarding wealth, since you can't keep it, and it often steals peace.
And finally, the source's interpretation of Solomon's answer. Finding good in enjoying life and work, but crucially, seeing it all as a gift from God.
And that recognition, that gratitude, is presented as the path to loving God and finding real gladness, countering the life without love theme.
So turning this to you, our listeners, how does this ancient perspective filtered through this specific study resonate today?
Yeah, do you see echoes of that emptiness in rituals or frustration with systems or the hollow pursuit of more?
Does this idea of receiving everything, work, enjoyment, life itself as a gift, strike a chord?
Which leads to a final thought to maybe chew on. According to this interpretation, recognizing everything as a gift is the key to joy. So what might actually change for you in your day-to-day perspective?
If you consciously tried to view everything, every task, every meal, every interaction through that specific lens of it being a gift, what difference would that make?